One way that developers and designers make software easy to use is they follow the same rules for various programs. For example, shortcuts should be consistent across all programs, such as Control-A to select all, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, Control-Z to undo, and Control-Y to redo. When these rules are not followed, it makes it harder for users. In Adobe Illustrator, undo is actually Control-Shift-Z, and I've used that software and countless times I've automatically pushed Control-Y to redo and it hasn't worked, which is quite frustrating. As users, we also expect consistency in websites. If I said, "Where's the account information?" most people are going to look at the top right-hand side. We can see it in NitroType. We can find it in anything in the Google ecosystem. It's there on Facebook, even though the icon isn't all that obvious. But on Twitter, it's in a little bit of a different place, although at least we do have a profile picture that we can click, and that will take us to our account information. There's more consistency here though, because if I look across to the left-hand side, I've got a series of symbols that are generally consistent across interfaces. I know that if I push the logo, it's going to take me back to the home page, because that works on almost every web page I visit. That's the home button, because it looks a little bit like a house. That's the notifications, email, and I'd assume that would be contacts, although if I click it, it ends up taking me back to my profile. If I were to say, how do I search? Most people would look at the top right-hand side for a search bar. It's there in Twitter, it's there in Blogger, it's at the top of the screen in Gmail, and it is present in Facebook as well, although for some reason they've placed it at the top left instead of the top right. Having said that, the symbol used is almost always the magnifying glass, which is consistent across systems and platforms. If we're looking to search, we look for the magnifying glass, and that makes it easy for us to use most pieces of software. It's worth noting that there is overlap between our consistency and our real-world match rules. For example, we often see the cog, which is settings, and that's consistent across most platforms. You know that consistency is broken when you can't easily find a basic tool or function. On the screen, we have a screenshot of GIMP's toolbar, and one of the tools that's missing is the straight line tool. Almost every other graphics program I've used, from Photoshop to Paint, has a dedicated straight line tool which is extremely easy to find. Unfortunately, this isn't the case with GIMP. Having said that, GIMP's not all bad. There's some great examples of consistency in that we've got Paint Bucket tool, Gradient tool, Brush tool, Eyedropper tool, and even the Bezier Curve tool, which is something that is found in almost all graphics programs. Using symbols and shortcuts that users already know makes software easy to use because users don't have to learn new tools or remember new shortcuts for each program that they use.